Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be here today as a pioneer selected by them. It's really an honor. My story begins from a small town in the south of Nepal in Terai. It's called Gaur. It used to be very small when I was born. It's larger today. But I was born in my grandparents' house. At that time, my father was overseas. He was in the US doing his PhD. And I was born there. And after 1 year, I joined my father in the US with my mother and elder brother. So the first 5 years of my life after my infancy was spent in the US. And those were very, very beautiful years. I still have memories of them. During that time, though, something terrible happened. I was diagnosed with a kidney malfunction. My kidneys were not working properly in the sense that they were not filtering out the nutrition. The kidney's main function is to make sure to filter the things that need to be excreted out of the body and keep the nutrients in. Well, my kidney was throwing the nutrients out as well. So as a result of that, the doctors in the US told my parents that I would not grow in height. Basically, I would stay a midget all my life. Thank God that didn't happen, as you can see. At the age of 6, I returned back to Nepal with my family, and I joined a school called Anandkuti Vidyapith. That is an all-male school, and it was a very harsh environment to study and very strict. Fortunately, I had my elder brother with me who protected me at all times. I was very lucky. After spending 2 years in Anandkuti, I had the opportunity to again go overseas to Germany. See, my father, he is Nepal's first biochemist. And as a research scientist, he had opportunities to do research in many different countries. And he was very nice to take his family with him wherever he went. He didn't put us in a hostel. So we were suddenly in Germany from coming back from Nepal, and we learned a new language. As kids, you learn languages very quickly. Very soon, we were talking in German amongst our siblings, and we were even swearing at each other in German. But again, something bad happened to me. I contracted asthma in Germany, and my parents were very, very unhappy. During that time, my father had a lot of free time after work because he was forced to go home at 6 o'clock every day. The research facility he was working for was a German government facility, which shut down at 6. So he had a lot of free time, and I was in grade 2 or 3 at that time, and my brother was in 3 as well. But my father had a lot of free time, and so he started teaching us trigonometry and algebra and atomic chemistry and all these things that kids of much higher grade should learn. Surprisingly, we were able to get all of that, and we were able to solve a lot of those mathematical equations and everything. So in a way, I guess my father made us into a genius, or we would have broken down, but fortunately we became geniuses. I also remember at that time, my parents wanted us to still remember some Nepali, and for that, they got some newspapers from Nepal, and we used to read the newspapers. But they also got me a copy of the Mahabharata in Hindi. Okay, and I remember as a kid reading that book, and I read it multiple times, this thick book, and I really enjoyed it. Looking back now, I think being able to read that book and have the motivation to read it was extraordinary. Because of my health issues and other things, my parents decided to leave Germany, and after 1 year in Germany, we are in California. And sunny California. It was a really nice time for us to be there. I joined there in class 5. It was the best time of my life as a child, a lot of freedom, carefree environment. It was also the time when my parents said I should get a job. So me and my brother used to deliver newspapers after school, which was a lot of fun. We used to go to people's houses, collect money from them, and it also instilled in us a sense of value for money and hard work. At the same time, my father, he got us a computer. In those days, computers were very expensive. But with his meager salary, he still got us a computer. And he got us these electronic kits. So we used to wire the kits and build all these projects, me and my brother, and we really enjoyed it. And we did a lot of basic programming on this Commodore VIC-20 computer, which none of you would know, but one of the earlier computers. And we really enjoyed it. So that really instilled in us this love for technology. That's brought me this far today. All good things come to an end, and we came back to Nepal. after 2 years in California, and I joined this horrible school called Siddharth Vanasthali. Anybody from Siddharth Vanasthali here? No? No? Sorry if you are, but it was really bad back then. Uh, Fortunately, I didn't have to spend much time there. After 2 years, I was in Adarsh Vidya Mandir. Much better school. Anybody from AVM? Okay, good. So much better school, and I finished my SLC from there. And after finishing SLC, it was the time when we had that Jan Andolan going, so all the schools, colleges in Nepal were shut down. So I was very lucky that I got into this school called Modern Indian School, and I finished my 10+2 from there. So once I finished Modern Indian School, I applied for colleges. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about what was special for me growing up from my childhood. The first thing is that I want to stress that while growing up, I had already completed 6 schools. I had already studied in 6 schools. I had already lived in 4 different cities on 3 different continents. I had already experienced many, many languages and different cultures. So I had already become good at adapting to change. So that was a very important learning from my childhood. The bad part of that is that I never learned how to develop lasting relationships, because I always felt that I'll leave this guy in 2 years anyway, so forget it. The other important thing was that I had a strong foundation in maths and sciences. Thanks to my father, I was really, really good at it, very interested in it. And I had a very keen interest in technology at a very young age. The other thing is that I had a very strong sense and value for money and hard work. I saw my mom work hard. I saw how she saved money. And I saw my father work really hard to pursue his dreams and how he was successful doing that. Because my father, he set up Nepal's first private research lab after coming back from the US by getting awarded a very prestigious grant from the US government. So, after finishing school, my father wanted me to go to the Indian Institute of Sciences in Bangalore. It's one of the best science institutes in India. But I didn't want to go there. I wanted to go to the US. Why? Because I wanted freedom, right? We all want freedom. But more than that, I wanted the freedom to study whatever I wanted to study. I know that in the system that we have here and in India, once you say science, they'll only teach you science and they'll hammer it into you. I wanted the ability, I wanted the freedom to be able to choose courses. So I went to the US. I applied, I got into a college called Clark University near Boston, and they gave me a scholarship, but I still needed to pay $13,000. And there was no way I was going to ask my parents for it because I know they didn't have the money. Fortunately, a Nepali living in the US who my father had befriended, he agreed to loan me the money, and I was like, yay, I can go to the US now. So he gave me this letter. I went to the US Embassy. Back then, it was very easy to get visas. They stamped me. I was in the US. I was around 15 days late reaching the campus because of all these visa issues. And when I reached there, all the good jobs on the campus were taken. Right? So I didn't have a job, and obviously you need a job to get some pocket money, and you have to work. So I picked out the yellow pages. I went to restaurants, and I called every single restaurant in the yellow pages. Fortunately, by the 11th or 12th restaurant I called, the guy said, "It's Friday, come over." So I went there. It was an Indian restaurant very near the campus. And he's like, "Can you work from tonight?" I said, "Yes." So that was my second paid job in my life, working as a waiter at an Indian restaurant, earning $5 an hour. Well, the good part about the job was the food, actually, So I used to come back every evening with all this good food, and all the people would come to my room, and they would try to grab at it. I had to share. So college in Clark University was going well. I enjoyed the environment and everything. And my first semester passed peacefully, and I entered the second semester. Well, this guy who was supposed to loan me the money never did. So guess what? The college said, "Get out." They called me one day and they said, "Dileep, you can't be here anymore. We're canceling your visa status. You have to leave." So I didn't know what to do now. I was stuck in this position. I didn't want to tell my parents. They would get all worried. Finally, I did tell my mom, and she said, "Come home. Why do you need to be there?" But I didn't want to go home defeated. So I stuck around. I was very lucky because my friends my friends in Clark University, they helped me out. The guys who work in the cafeteria, they let me in. They said, "Dileep, you come at this time, okay? Nobody will be looking." My friend from school, who was my roommate in the dorm in the hostel. He would let me in the evening after dark, and I would go and sleep. So things worked out, and I realized that if you don't panic and if you stay persistent, things work out. You just have to stick to it. So then summer came and summer passed, and I still didn't know what to do because my visa was canceled and I was illegal by now. I was living in the US illegal. So I got in touch with a family friend in Montana. It's a Midwestern state, very few people living there. And he said, come over, the tuition here is very cheap and you can stay with us, I'll loan you the money. It was $3,000 a year, very cheap. So I went to Montana, right? And let me just make sure, yeah. So I went to Montana and I stayed there for a semester, right? And when I was there, I realized that I again had to re-enroll as a first-year student because my 1 year in Clark was gone because they didn't give me a transcript, mark sheet paena maile. But I realized that I was one of the smartest students in that college. I was tutoring all the students, the fourth-year senior students, mathematics, science, even English. The teachers, they were surprised to hear my English and how eloquent I was and how well I could write. They were very, very happy. So I thought, if I stick around here, I won't have a future. I have to get out of here. So I started applying again. I wrote to all the colleges. The way you apply to go to America is you write to all the top 25 colleges and universities in the US, and you pray that one of them will accept you, because if they do, they'll pay you. They'll pay you to be there. So I started writing all over again. I did all those SATs, ACTs, all that stuff all over again. I got really good recommendation letters from the professors, and those were actually credible because they don't believe the recommendations from the schools in Nepal as much back then. But American college ko recommendation, they really valued it. So I got into Bates College in Maine. They accepted me, which was ranked 17th at that time. And the college would cost around $23,000 a year. Today it's, I think, around 70, but back then 23,000. And they didn't give me a decision on financial aid. Scholarship ko barema kehi pani bhanena. And this was Christmas time, so I was getting all edgy, kati scholarship dela. Christmas pachi call auncha malai. Oh, we are going to give you 12,000. I was really disappointed. I thought, the kid, I'm back to square one, right? So I was silent on the phone, didn't say anything. And then she said, what's wrong? Aren't you happy? I said, no, I still have to come up with more than 10,000. I don't have that money. She's like, no, it's 12,000 every semester. We don't have to pay anything. So I was like, wow, suddenly I was like, this is the best moment of my life. Imagine getting this full scholarship to study at one of the best colleges in America, and they were even going to pay for my, basically, books and all that stuff, pocket expenses. So here I was, I was in Maine and at Bates College, and it was a fantastic experience studying at one of the best colleges in the US. Learned a lot, took all kinds of courses, and I suddenly reached my third year, having fun. And in my third year, I had to decide something. I had to take a decision, because you can't stay there forever in college. After 4 years, they kick you out too, so you have to plan what are you going to do after that. So most of my friends were going to Wall Street. That was the cool thing to do back then. They did economics, so I also did economics. I did biochemistry, because that's what I had promised my father I'll do. And I did economics as well. And then I thought maybe I should become a neurobiologist. So I studied neurobiology as well, psychology. I did all these things. Then my brother, who was studying with me, but he skipped a year and finished his engineering degree in the US, he graduated and he was jobless. So he was sitting jobless for 6 months and trying to look for a job. And free time ma ule euta computer ma Linux load garyo. So back then Linux was like brand new. Everybody talks about Linux. Back then Linux was brand. He loaded Linux and he set up an email server on it. And then he told me, Dileep, I've set up this email server. Why didn't you send me an email using my email server? So I did that, and it worked. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I said, Timi jau, Nepal jau, set up garo na yo Nepalma. Nepalma चाहिन्छ नि यस्तो कुराहरु. Imagine, man, we can't even talk to our parents. It's so expensive. उसले भने ना म त जान्न, I'm not interested. And then he got a job. So that was the genesis of this idea, and it really stuck in my brain for some reason. I said, I have to do this. I have to do this experiment. So मैले चाहिँ एउटा कम्प्युटर किने हैन त्यो किन्नको पनि एउटा स्टोरी छ टु डु माई सिनियर थिसिस हैन मेरो कलेजमा थिसिस गर्नु पर्थ्यो मैले कलेजमा ग्रान्टलाई एप्लाई गरेँ उनीहरूले $2,500 को ग्रान्ट दियो मलाई है प्लस मैले भने ट्राभललाई पनि मलाई खर्च हुन्छ $1,000 एक्स्ट्रा दियो सो $35 मैले पाएँ हैन अनि मैले भने कि मैले यो रिसर्च नेपालमा गएर गर्नुपर्छ मेरो बुवाको आफ्नै रिसर्च ल्याब छ मैले घर पनि जान पाए छैन म अमेरिकामा गर्दिन मलाई नेपाल जान दिनुस् हैन फर द फर्स्ट टाइम इन द कलेजेस हिस्ट्री दे एक्सेप्टेड द्याट है सो त्यो $3500बाट मैले कम्प्युटर किने मोडेम किने हैन सफ्टवेयरहरु लोड गरे हैन आई स्पेन्ड आवर्स एन्ड आवर्स इन माई डोर्म रूम trying to configure all this, learn how it works, set it up, test it, right? Because it's one thing to create something that works in your room and another thing to make it commercially deployable. I had to spend all that time on it. And I came back to Nepal in May 1995 with this computer and modem. And I set it up. अब पैसा थिएन अरु So I got 2 of my cousins to be working partners. I said, no salary, but you can take shares. Right? At that time, the biggest constraint for me was, how do I get a telephone line? Right? You dial-up ko jamana hoi, tapai dial-up थाहा पनि छैन होला. All of you are not from that era, I can see, from whatever I can see, except for a few guys in the front. Right? But when you dial up, you needed a telephone line. You needed the telephone line that comes into your house. Right? A telephone line त्यति बेला नेपालमा लिनलाई मन्त्रीको तोक चाहिन्थ्यो अथवा 32 कि 33,000 रुपैयाँ चाहिन्थ्यो त्यो पैसा पनि थिएन मन्त्रीको तोक पनि थिएन. So what I would do is I would steal my father's telephone line that went to his fax machine. Right? And he used to get very upset about that because he would lose his faxes. He had faxes coming in. He would miss those because I steal the telephone line. Right? But anyway, we got started. We didn't register a company. We didn't care about the regulations. We didn't care about what the law says, what it doesn't say. We didn't have a business plan. We didn't care about any of that. All I cared about was, I have to start this service. That's it. If it fails, that's okay, but I have to do it. Right? I figured that my risk is little, I'll just do it. So anyway, we started Worldlink, and in September 1995, this month, 24 years ago, we launched the services. Right? We started commercially deploying it. We were going to people's houses, installing the service, supporting them. We were there providing phone support. The customers loved us, because our competitor at that time, the only competitor at that time, Mercantile, they made you bring their computer to their office. Right? So nobody liked that. Right? So people were very happy with us. The whole expat community, the travel industry in Tamil, they all used our services and paid us a lot of money. And what really got me at that time was when I did an installation at somebody's house and they got their first email, you should see their face. It's like, like suddenly they're like, really? Like jadoo gare jasto, okay? It's like something, you just pulled off some amazing trick. So that really inspired me that, wow, this is something amazing that I'm doing and I should continue doing this. So anyway, I had to go back to America, finish my degree, finish my last degree, last year of college. But pretty much I was working remotely. त्यति बेला इन्टरनेटको खासै त्यति थिएन हामीसँग तर पनि I was over email. I was supporting the folks back in Nepal because I was the only one who knew how that server worked. So I would be like supporting them, fixing problems and everything. And as soon as I graduated, as a graduate गर्यो, next day I was on a plane back home. है अरु साथीहरु कोही यता घुम्न गयो, कोही यो गर्यो, कोही त्यो गर्यो. मेरो चाहिँ काम तुरुन्तै यति फोन आउँथ्यो मलाई, तिमी कहिले आउँदैछौ? Next day नै फर्किहाले म. So since then I have been in Kathmandu working on Worldlink, हैन, trying to grow that company. So I just want to talk a little bit about these early years. The early years are very blissful. And why were they blissful? Because we were giving a service that people would be wowed to receive. Right? They were like so grateful. Oh, email, मका email आयो. ओहो तपाईले त तपाई त भगवानै हुनुहुन्छ जस्तो ट्रिटमेन्ट दिने हामीलाई है. Not only our own Nepali folks, even the foreigners who were living here, they used to treat us like royalty. I had access to like all the diplomatic community. है? I got visas for people done. त्यस्तो मेरो influence थियो हैन. अनि margin पनि टर्न people would love to pay you the money के पैसा ल्याएर तुरुन्तै दिइहाल्ने के लाइन नकाट्दियोस् भनेर किनभने this was है. So you were making good money है, squandering it at the same time because I didn't know how to save money है. And the government also finally legalized us in the sense that they gave us a license by establishing Nepal Telecom Authority in 1998. Right? And the government also did a very, back then it was a very revolutionary, progressive move. They allowed companies like Worldlink to set up our own antennas, on our roof and connect directly to overseas carriers. You see, we have to connect to some company overseas to get the internet in Nepal. Right? It's like a data connection with an overseas company. So they allowed us to do that. Before that, we had to go through Nepal Telecom, and they charged us horrendous rates, like really obscene rates. Right? So that was a very progressive move from the government. Unfortunately, not much progressive moves have been done since then. Right? So dial-up was doing good, but customers were getting a little bit now antsy. कति वर्षसम्म हामीलाई dial-upमा तपाईँ राख्नुहुन्छ, because now they started hearing about these things called ISDN and cable and all this stuff, in foreign countries, because other countries were moving on. They're like, why don't we have faster internet in Nepal? Why dial-up? तपाईँ अरू दिनु पर्यो हामीलाई. So we went to Nepal Telecom and we said, look, you have allowed us to use your telephone line. Okay, you're not using it. Why don't you let us use your telephone line to give ADSL service? तपाईहरु त गर्ने हुन्न, हैन? So they said, no, we will not give. And again, very, mindset एकदमै सानो. Other ISPs also went to Nepal Telecom. तपाईं unbundle गर्नुस्. That's the model globally. You will also make money. We'll also make money. The customer will get service. They didn't want to do any of that. So out of compulsion, in 2003, we set up a cable network in Kathmandu, which was very jugaad, right? Okay, and it was done because we had to do something. And I'm proud of it that we didn't sit on our asses and did nothing. We always wanted to do something. We failed doing it many times, but we always tried to do new things. And that's why we're successful today. So anyway, we set up this cable network. Customers were elated. They got faster service, but the performance was not reliable. It was not consistent, and that also pissed off a lot of customers, and it also led to our brand getting eroded, which was bad. But at the same time, as I said, I'm happy we at least tried doing it. So then sort of the bad period started for us, right? And the bad period started basically with NTC launching ADSL in 2007, right? 2007, 2008, right? And it was great for the customers, like for everyone here, but for us it was really bad because we were suddenly caught in this situation where we didn't have a technology to deliver internet, like we didn't have any network, okay? We had to match NTC's rates, that led to a 25% dip in our revenues, right? And everybody started suddenly treating us like तपाईहरुको काम छैन. Even the government, like किन तपाईहरु अब इन्टरनेट त अब टेलकोले गर्ने हो, एनटीसीले गर्ने हो, तपाईहरुको काम छैन. विदेशमा पनि हेर्नुस् न, भारतमा हेर्नुस् के भइरहेछ. सबै आईएसपीहरु बन्द भइसकेको छ. तपाईहरु पनि बन्द हुनुहुन्छ अब, हैन? एनटीसीको एमडी त्यतिबेला सुगत जी हुनुहुन्थ्यो, हु इज इन नेपाल एयरलाइन्स. He said, तपाईहरुको हाल त अब यो पेजर वाला जस्तो हुनेवाला छ. You guys are going to shut down. You guys go home now. You guys served the country. Now you guys are not needed. Very disappointing to hear that. But we stuck around. I don't know. We're just stubborn bacteria who just don't die. So we just stuck around, and we stuck around for the next 4 years trying to think what to do. And it was very difficult because we had no growth, we had no clear direction. Like के गर्ने त? How do we serve this customer? We want to serve this customer, but how do we do it? We dabbled in many different technologies. We set up this fixed wireless, माथि छतमा हाल्ने एउटा wireless device, that worked initially, but again it backfired because these technologies are not meant to be used on a large scale. They're just for small scale deployments. We lobbied the government to give us spectrum, wireless frequency to do WiMAX. त्यो पनि सरकारले गर्छु भन्यो, कहिले पनि गरेन. आजसम्म पनि गरेको छैन, है? So we had a lot of low morale in the company, है? अब के गर्ने के नगर्ने, हैन? त्यति बेला नै ट्याक्स हाम्रो देशको नेपाल सरकारको ट्याक्सले पनि हामीलाई हान्यो त्यति बेला, है? It was a very terrible period, है? They were trying to extract money from us, widely publicized in Kantipur, right? So I'm not divulging anything confidential here. It was a very bad period for us, right? A very dark period when I think most of us would have just folded and left. But again, I think we're just too stubborn. So during this dark period, I had a lot of questions. I questioned myself consistently, like, am I throwing away my prime years? Like, am I just throwing away my life? I mean, I could just go to America tomorrow. I could get on a plane. I could do a master's. I could go to Silicon Valley, and I can do it. And I'm intelligent. I'm smart. I'm hardworking. I can do it. I used to think that. I used to think, am I complacent? Am I like, do I lack ambition? Because I see other people who trading गरेर पैसा कमाइरहेछ, जग्गाको व्यापार गरेर कति पैसा कमाएछ. People are making so much money doing all those things. And what am I doing? I'm sticking with this ISP business that's like everybody says is going to sink anyway. Right? So I used to start questioning myself. And I used to think, is it true that maybe it's true that the telcos are supposed to be delivering internet and we're just dinosaurs now. We should just walk away. We should just fold and go away. So this is a very dark period. but then we had this renaissance. I want to call it renaissance because we had this at a batti bolyo ke, right? And we saw a direction. We saw like, okay, this is what we have to do. Right? What happened basically is that technology progressed over 4 years, and this network that we had built, this cable network in Kathmandu, it had these boxes with switches in it. You know, Ethernet switch in gharma athwa office ma praयोग गर्नुहुन्छ तपाई networking को लागि. It had switches in it, but these switches were very low quality and they were not manageable. Right? So that's why the service was poor. But this company in China that we got in contact with, they were making the same switch, highly reliable, managed, so you could remotely manage and control the network, and reliable, but at a very good price point. So they gave us a really good price. So we said, okay, we're going all out again. Let's get those switches. Let's replace the old switches. Let's upgrade the network, and let's start giving service. Right? Let's give it this push. So we did that, and we launched a 10 Mbps service in Kathmandu. Right? So 10 Mbps at that time was sort of like was very, very high. People were very surprised, and we chose 10 Mbps because ADSL NTC cannot go more than 3, 4, 5 Mbps reliably. So 10 Mbps was like, okay, we're giving customers, setting a new benchmark for customers. So we launched that, and it was very successful. A lot of customers were happy with it. They signed up. Service quality was good, and things sort of started picking up again. So then we thought, once this was doing well, we rolled it out in other cities, Biratnagar, Pokhara, Birganj, aru ठाउँमा पनि हामीले cable network हाल्यौं, and we were making customers. Then in 2014, you know, we had a meeting inside the company, and my guy said, "Sir, यो cable network लाई अब फाल्दिनु पर्यो, अब fiber गर्नु पर्यो." मैले तिम्रो पागल छौ तिमी, यति लगानी गरिसक्यो, अब के फाल्ने यसलाई? होइन सर, यो cable network जुगाड हो यो, यसले कहिले पनि हामी grow गर्न सक्दैनौं. We'll grow to a certain extent, but it will always give us headaches. Let's go with technology that is cutting edge, proven, reliable, global standard. Right? Let's not do jugaad anymore. So I said, "Thik se babu, let's scrap it." Right? So that's a big decision in life, right? To scrap something that really works for you and go for the next thing. Right? But we took that decision. It was a very smart decision. So that year in 2014, after 19 years of being in business, we suddenly hit gold. Okay? We suddenly hit gold because we invested over 100 crore rupees, right? And Lakshmi Bank, who is somebody from there who was with us at that time in Lakshmi Bank, they supported us. We got this huge loan from them, right? And even the people were saying, "Timir pagal ho, 100 crore ko loan uthaune, timir ta kangal huncha hola, bigriyo bhane la kangal hola ni." That's fine, because in life you get only one opportunity, and you have to seize it, and you have to jump. And if you don't jump, you'll regret it all your life. You better make it big, or you just walk out. Okay, in life, you know, you just cannot continue being in the dark. So anyway, we did that. We added this network. We added it all over the country, and we're still adding it aggressively. We're still investing over 150 crores every year into this network. And what we found is that, you know, we started with 25,000 customers in 2014, and in 2018 we had 265,000 households. Right now we have around 340,000 households. Okay, so growth yesto bhayera gyo. So customers were just waiting for the right technology, the right service. They needed that delivered, and they were all ready to start consuming data. And they wanted to consume data the way you guys do today. Tons of YouTube and Facebook, basically. So we were able to ride that wave, or actually create that wave in this country. And our goal is that by 2020, by next year, we should be 500,000 households connected. Right? And we're working towards that. So this slide isn't here, but I'm just going to tell you really quickly. So I just want to tell you really quickly that today Worldlink is the third largest operator in Nepal. So Incel, NTC पछि तेस्रो सबभन्दा ठुलो operator in Nepal. We are the largest taxpayer in the ICT sector. So we have this dual role. We get classified by the telco by some government people, ICT by some government people. So we get the benefits as well as the flack from both of them. Right? We are routing 40% of the internet traffic in Nepal. So 40% of all the internet traffic in this country goes through us, through our network, through our customers. Right? So we are the largest network provider in the country, and of course we're the largest ISP. We have the most number of customers, and blah blah blah. Right? You can see there. Right? Just to give you an idea that you know, it's not here, so I'm going to turn around a little bit. FTTH. I just wanted to show you guys that Nepal is the only country in Asia after Japan, China, Korea, and Hong Kong, okay, and Vietnam. Okay, so let's leave these countries. Vietnam is an outlier. Is the only country in Asia that is so heavily fiberized. Okay, means most of the people who use internet in this country use it over a fiber link. Okay, but by comparison, in Europe, less than 1%. In Europe, I don't know. In America, also probably less than 1%. Europe and America are all copper still. Right? We're all fiber. Right? So that's a monumental achievement that the ISPs in this country have to take credit for. Okay? By market share, you can see that Worldlink is 1/3 of the market, if we include NTC's ADSL as well. And if you look here amongst FTTH broadband, we are around 60% market share. Yeah? So that's all because we went aggressive all out, right? And we focused on connecting households and giving good service. Okay? And also one very important thing that came out of this whole thing was Nepal ranked, this is from 2018, a company in the UK did a global survey. Nepal ranked 12th in terms of broadband pricing. Means Nepal is the 12th cheapest country for broadband. Right? In my view today, it's top 10. Why? Because we even give free TV with that same thing. You get free TV. If any of you've been to any developed country, they charge so much for that. Right? So we probably ranked top 10 in terms of broadband pricing globally, which I think is something to be very proud of because we don't rank top 10 in anything good. So what next? You know, and before that, I want to get this really quickly. Like people keep asking me this: किन तपाईं 19 वर्ष कुर्नु भयो त? तपाईंको यो explosion को लागि, तपाईंको growth को लागि 19 वर्ष कसरी तपाईंले बिताउनु भयो? And it's very shameful actually, okay? Because I used to go to these conferences and they would ask me, how many customers do you have? And I would be like, अलि बढाएर भनिदिऊ न 30,000 भनिदिन्थे क्या 30,000, right? And still they would be like, he says he's the largest ISP or one of the largest, and only 30,000. And I used to feel so much shame, right? And I used to think, 19 वर्ष काम गरेर यति मात्र हुन्छ र? हैन, what did I do wrong? And why am I still doing it? So the first thing is that I have to admit I don't know how to do anything else. I am unemployable now. I cannot get a job because this is all I know how to do. So I just kept doing it. Right? And the other thing that really struck me and my team is that we have this vision to connect everyone anywhere all the time. And our mission is to enrich lives through connectivity. And we really try to live this. Right? For most of you and most of the people in the urban areas of this country, you take connectivity for granted. Okay? In fact, you get upset if it's not there. Right? But I started when people didn't take it for granted and they had so much gratitude and appreciation for that connectivity. Right? Their faces used to glow up. They used to be so happy when they got it. And that was because it made a monumental difference in their life. And it still makes a huge difference in people's lives. It's just that they take it for granted. But again, if we go to Karnali, where we just finished a project with some government subsidy, people give us that same warmth and that same gratitude that we used to get in Kathmandu. They are so grateful when our people go and connect villages there. You know, so we understand that this makes a big change, a big difference in people's lives, and we want to continue delivering that. So that is something that drives us to continue doing this business. Okay. The other thing that we felt is that the telcos globally, and I'm proven correct today, you know, the telcos globally don't care about data, okay? They care about voice, okay? That's changing over the past couple of years, you know, not in Nepal though, but it's changed in India, for example. But telcos will focus on voice when, let's say 4 years ago, they will not care about data, right? Why? Because they make the money from voice. Voice is much easier to make money. Data is very difficult. Right? It's not easy to make money in data. So I thought that we have to still be in the voice business, in the data business, because the telcos will never do justice to that business. And lastly, you know, I was never in it for the money. I was always in it for the ride. I enjoyed the ride, and that's why I wanted to keep doing it. Now, looking at the future, we still want to work towards connecting the unconnected. You know, there's still so many unconnected households in our country. So many households and villages that need to be connected. We want to work towards that, and we are working towards that. And I'm very glad that, you know, the government is also now putting subsidies into that. So it's great. Actually, I hope all these projects that the government has has come out with Succeed. Some we have gotten, some other people have gotten. And it will change this country. I mean, just to give you an idea, broadband growth is directly correlated to GDP growth. There's World Bank data that proves this. I cannot give you the exact numbers, but it's something like 10% ले broadband बढ्यो भने, penetration बढ्यो भने, it has a 1 point something percent impact on GDP growth. So I'm really glad the government is doing it. The other ambition I have is one day, provided the government gives me a license, I would like to launch a mobile data service, like a 4G or 5G service. And for the urban customers, we need to put services on top of connectivity. Since connectivity is not that high value anymore, we want to put content on it. We have a net TV, भन्ने offerings, हाम्रो television को, we want to put that on it, and other solutions that will make that connectivity more valuable for our customers. So I just wanted to put this picture here from our guys in Karnali. It's a very harsh environment to be in, working on snow tops. You can see there, with your solar panel installed गर्दैछन्. We just, I think today we are sending equipment by helicopter there, by army helicopter, just to get those villages connected. Here, the villagers doing swagat to our engineers. They tell me about these stories, and it feels so good. So, and then I want to leave you with these two quotes. This first quote is from Leo Tolstoy. Right? The two most powerful warriors are patience and time. Okay, so this is what exemplifies my existence. If you have patience and time with you, you will succeed at anything in life. And the second one is that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I have experienced this again and again and again. I told you about all my health problems when I was growing up. I was born premature, I should have died. So all those things really made me weak at that time, but in the long run, they all made me stronger. So in life, we have to embrace adversity. We have to embrace the people who give us a hard time. We may hate them today, but they'll make us stronger. And we'll look back 10 years later and say, yes, this guy did the right thing at that time. He made me stronger, or she made me stronger. Thank you very much for having me here.